Hey, what's happening, guys? Jason here. Yeah, so this video is about quitting weed. It's been 3 years since smoking weed. Now, geez, right off the bat, like it does not feel like 3 years like that. It just trips me out. It really does. Like 3 years. Like what? Like that's crazy, you know? And yeah, it's to be honest, like I've mentioned this before, out of all the drugs I quit, out of all the addictions I've had, weed was the hardest one to quit. Believe it or not, it really was. It was harder than opiates, it was harder than painkillers, it was harder than alcohol, harder than porn, even harder than a lot of stuff, you know? Like out of all my toxic addictions or habits, weed was the hardest one to kick. And some people might not believe that, but it's the truth. And my understanding of why that is because weed was such a big part of my life. Started smoking weed when I was 14, all the way up till I quit when I was 29. And it was all the time. It was all day. It's all in thing, right? And so like smoking weed to me was like breathing oxygen. Like that's just what I do. I breathe air and I smoke weed. I'm just kidding, but really, like that's how like normal it was to me, right? And so when I finally did quit, I had a few attempts, many attempts actually at quitting that weren't successful. But when I finally did quit, I went crazy. Like I was losing my mind. I thought I was going insane. The most anxiety, most depression, rage, anger, all into one bunch at the same time. And it was overwhelming, to say the least. Like I literally thought like I was gonna be in an institute, like with padded walls. Like for real, like I felt like something is wrong. I should not be feeling this way. I've never had anxiety like that. And the one thing that pushed me through was just that trust on God. Like that's the biggest thing that got me through it was that all these other times I tried to just quit on my own power, but this time, like I truly gave it to God, and like let Him take it, like literally I gave it to Him. Like, all right, I trust you, God. I know these, even in the midst of the pain, the suffering, all the anxiety, I just had that trust in me, in my heart. Almost said the trust in me heart, Irish, but yeah, that trust in my heart that God, you got me. That this is not permanent. This is temporary, and like I had that deep, deep knowing and trust in my heart that I'm gonna get through this, And if I didn't have God, if I didn't have His power, His reassurance in me, like I would not have pushed through. No way. No way. And not only that, but now I'm like, I don't struggle. Like He's delivered me from temptations, from the struggles, from those desires to want to smoke, I remember, like the first few months, man, there's thoughts like, man, like you're never gonna smoke weed again. Like that's crazy. Like don't you just want to like get high on the weekend? Just one night, just get high and just have a good time, relax. I had to accept the fact that like no, that's just not me anymore. That's like I'm I've grown out of it. I've got all the value I could out of weed, and to be honest, I had some good times with it. And like, but towards the end of my journey with Mary Jane, like it was no longer enjoyable. It was like just smoking to be normal, smoking to not be angry, smoking to be relaxed, and it's like, and it would even give me anxiety. It would even give me like paranoia, and it's like I was no longer getting value out of it, and I had to come to terms that it's time to let this go. Like it's holding me back in so many areas. It's holding me back in so many ways. Like I'm not even me. Like it changed my personality completely when I was high. Um, and so it took some time to really like grow into my real self, if you will, and just let my mind, let my brain, let my body, the chemistry of my body like adapt to not having THC in it anymore. And really like it was such a process, and like even like 3 months in, like I was still having like partial anxiety, and even like 7 months, and when I got to a year, like I was pretty well settled and grown a lot from that. And then by the time I reached a year, like I just finally quit kratom, another addiction I had. So I quit kratom like a month before I made it to a year without smoking weed, if that makes sense. So then I had another monster to conquer, another wave of just finding myself again. So yeah, it's just crazy that it's 3 years right now. It does not feel like that. And it's interesting too to be free of it. Like I'm completely free of it. I've been around people that are smoking a couple times. There's a couple people like I work with that smoke, and had it off. Like a guy offered me his pen. I'm like, oh, I'm good on that, bro. You know what I mean? Oh, jeez. And then I smell it all the time, like in the city. Last night actually, I had my windows open. It's a cool night. Weed smell. Like I hear people outside, and like the weed, just some dank smell coming through the window into my house. I'm like, wow, that's really potent. But it doesn't like trigger me. It doesn't make me, oh, I wish I could smoke. Like that, those thoughts are gone. Praise God for that. It's true freedom. It's true freedom. And back in the day, before I quit, like I even went to a few like MA, like Marijuana Anonymous meetings, just trying to quit, and yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like it because everyone would identify. There's a guy there that was like sober for 20 years, and he would like, my name's Jack, and I'm a pothead. I'm like, dude, why do you call yourself a pothead if you haven't smoked weed in over 20 years, man? Like, you gotta stop labeling yourself that, And that's a big thing that bothers me, man. Is like I've been to AA, I've been to MA, I've been in Celebrate Recovery meetings, and I get it. Like there's a time and a place to confess. Like, hey, I got a problem. I'm an alcoholic. I got to deal with this, right? But there comes a point where you got to stop identifying with that, and you got to stop labeling yourself that, and you got to let yourself be free. If you're gonna label yourself something, label yourself free. Don't label yourself an alcoholic if you haven't drank for 20 years. If you haven't, you know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. But that's one thing I don't agree with. Like some of these recovery programs is like, it's like the recovery program is now your new addiction. And I know this is a huge controversy here, and I'm not against recovery programs at all. Like I support them, and they've helped me a lot, just through my experience back in the day going to them. And I just the main thing I preach is that if you rely on God, if you rely on Christ for freedom, like it says in the book of Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? And I don't need these other programs per se to help me. I mean, there's a time and a place for it, but I don't think you should have to be going through a program for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? And if that's working for you, man, that's awesome. Like I'm not speaking against it, but just for me personally, I think what God has to offer, what Jesus has to offer, that true freedom is like it's just kind of, I don't know, liberating, free. Like I don't even want to say like I don't need that, but I almost do want to say like I don't need that, because like, and I love the programs because they make you face yourself. They make you come to terms with your behavior, your actions, and what you're doing, instead of being in denial. Looking at, just unforgiveness and yeah. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff, and if I've offended anybody with that, like my opinion on some of the recovery things, like I'm sorry, Um, but yeah. Anyways, it's it's just really cool to be free. It's really cool that I'm at 3 years right now. Like, it's a trip. It's a trip. So, anyways, yeah, guys, just want to check in, kind of do this update. I mean, it's been 3 years and 3 days technically, because it was on the 19th when I actually quit. So that's what's cool, is when you start getting to long-term sobriety, it's like you're not thinking about the date and everything. It's just like, oh wow, like I already passed 3 years a couple days ago, and I totally forgot about it. So I just want to just give you guys hope, man. Like, I thought I was helpless. I remember, like, the thought of quitting weed was like climbing Mount Everest, man. Like, it felt like the hardest thing to do. It felt impossible, to be honest, before I finally did it. It was just that much of a part of me. So I hope some of that helps, guys. I love you all. You have a blessed night, blessed day, blessed afternoon, whatever time it is when you're watching this. Take care. God bless. Hang loose. Peace.